All right, let's quickly review. I've gone through all of your assessments and I've just identified, so I think there's about 5 questions that 50% or more of the class got incorrect. So based on that, obviously the material was not given to you effectively, or we didn't go over it enough, or it's just information we really need to drive home. So about 50% or more of the class got these questions wrong, so I want to make sure that I clarify them, and then in just a moment you are going to have an opportunity to buy back some of those points. So for every question that you get correct, you've got the opportunity for about 2 points back on your assessment, and so make sure you're paying attention. Okay, so food remaining in the TDZ. This, like almost the entire class got this incorrect. You're on the right track, and I just want to make sure I clarify this information. So food can safely remain in the temperature danger zone for up to 4 hours, okay? And so that was commonly missed. This is without the threat of any major microorganism growth. So by that I mean microorganisms need time to grow, and they really don't have enough time to grow until beyond that 4-hour mark. So up to 4 hours, it can safely be held in the temperature danger zone. However, and this is where I think we got a little confused, however, to safely recondition, for example, if we need to reheat a dish or cool a dish back down, it is recommended to check the temperature every 2 hours. So if we check the temperature at 4 hours and it's at the wrong temperature, we have to throw it out. That's why it's recommended that we check it every 2 hours. So it can safely be there with 4 hours. However, we do want to check it every 4 hours, but we want to check it just so that we can be proactive in reheating or cooling every 2 hours. So please make sure that you've corrected that in your head. The second thing is reheating foods. I'm going to provide you a little bit of a step-by-step scenario here. So for example, a restaurant is known for their homemade marinara sauce, and for quality purposes, this restaurant makes it every single day fresh. They do not reuse their marinara. If it is not used that day, it is thrown out, because for quality purposes, they say it's going to be fresh daily. All right, so they make it fresh daily, and as soon as it's made, they put it on the line for line cooks to use whenever needed. So when someone orders spaghetti and meatballs, that marinara sauce is ready to go. So it's on a line similar to this. The line cooks have all of this ready. So right here would be marinara sauce. It's being kept hot this entire time, okay? And when a temperature check is done at that 2-hour mark, it's noted that it is only registering at 120 degrees, but we know that when food is sitting out like this, it needs to be at 135 degrees. So to safely recondition, the marinara sauce is reheated first to 165 degrees. That's killing out any harmful bacteria that may be multiplying in our food right now because it's in the temperature danger zone. So we reheat it to 165 degrees. We zap all that crap out of there, and then it's placed back out on the steam table for another 2 hours. And at the 4-hour mark, regardless, no questions asked, whatever has remained, thrown away, okay? So reheating foods needs to be done to 165 degrees to safely recondition. Thawing foods, there are 4 appropriate ways. In a cooler, kind of make sure that we realize a cooler and a refrigerator are the same thing. In a commercial environment, a refrigerator is commonly referred to as the cooler. So do not confuse those words. This is the safest way, because when we are thawing foods, we are coming from a frozen state to a workable state, okay? And because we're going from a freezer to a refrigerator, it's a cold environment to a cold environment. That is the safest way. The second way is under running cold water. When we did our chicken Alfredo activity, you noted that I thawed the rest of that chicken under running cold water because it wasn't thawed fully from overnight, okay? I had done in the refrigerator overnight and then under running cold water to finish off the thawing process. Alternatively, I could have done it in the microwave, but I have to cook that chicken immediately. It can't go from the microwave to the refrigerator and then cooked later. It has to go thawed in the microwave, cook immediately. The last one is during the cooking process. Okay, so for example, your French fries that you get from the grocery store, they're frozen. You put that frozen food on a sheet pan, you put it in the oven, and those French fries go from frozen to thawed to cooked. You didn't have to do any of these other processes. It was during the cooking process that it thawed out. Okay, it may never be thawed at room temperature on a counter. All right, and the reason why I can never, thawing, depending on what it is, can take up to 8 to 10 hours. So you're gonna leave your chicken thawing on a countertop for 8 to 10 hours? No, it's in the temperature danger zone. And because it's in the temperature danger zone, you cannot thaw at room temperature, okay? It is in the temperature danger zone. Never be thawed at room temperature. Gloves. You guys did personal hygiene on your own, so this is completely mistake of mine for not going over this in more detail. Quite simply put, gloves are required to be worn when you're working with ready-to-eat foods. So if it will not be cooked again, you have to wear gloves. Anything that you're going to put directly in your mouth, you have to wear gloves. Now, not required to wear gloves if the food will be cooked again. Now, it is a preference thing. When people are working with raw chicken, raw beef, instinctively you're like, I need to have gloves on. I'm working with a raw product. But it's going to be cooked again. Those hamburger patties that you're forming with your hands are going to be cooked again. So if you're working with raw food, even when I did my demonstration for chicken Alfredo, not once did I ever have gloves on when I was working with the raw chicken, because it was going to be cooked again. If my hands touched it, it didn't really matter because it was going to be cooked. Okay, so while this is kind of a preference thing, gloves are still, from ServSafe, they are not required when we are working with even raw products, okay? Last thing, storing ready-to-eat TCS food. You have 7 days total, okay? Up to 7 days. No questions asked, okay? So chicken, cooked, can be stored for 7 days. The count starts on the day it was made, okay? So today is the 8th. Let's do this to get together. It was made on the 8th. I have to include that day. I've got 7 days total. The start counts today. I'm cooking chicken this evening, so I have to include the 8th, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have to use, eat, or throw out that chicken on that day. Okay, again, the count starts the 8th, today, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. On October 14th, that chicken must be gone, okay? Either in my belly, in the trash can, or used, whatever. It needs to be done by 7 days, all right? I think that takes us through all of our questions. In just a moment, you're gonna have an opportunity to buy back any of those points. Hope you are listening. Thank you.